All right, so I'm here with Isabelle Robillard, who is the VP of Communications for Hexo Corp. Thanks for having me here. We just did the tour. It's an extremely impressive facility. And it seems like you guys have come a long way since the hydropothecary days, in which the name change went into effect last year.
Yeah, so when the regulations around cannabis for adults, recreational cannabis, came out in Canada last year, it was clear to us that we had to come up with a brand that spoke to a wider range of consumers than hydropothecary, which is it's a bit of a difficult word to pronounce.
I think I may have messed it up a little bit either.
No judgment. So we came up with the Hexo brand and Hexo Corp, which is the corporation that houses all of these brands. Hydropothecary remained our medical brand up until April, when we had to make some changes due to changing regulations, changes to our packaging, and in the way that we deliver products to our clients. And so at that time, the decision was made to bring those products in under the Hexo brand name.
And it does, it seems to have a little more gravitas to it as well, which kind of reflects in what we had seen today. So expansion-wise, it looks like you're working with 300,000 square feet now in this current facility, but you guys are expanding that production into another facility that would have 1 million square feet. Is that right?
So where we are located right now is indeed roughly 300,000 square feet of cultivation space. Our facility in Gatineau in Canada, in Quebec, is 1.3 million square feet, and we've actually received license on our 1 million square foot expansion. We grow there. We had our first harvest in March, so we do work out of that 1 million square foot expansion, which is just across from here.
So the expansion seems to be happening pretty fast, and I've noticed that you also had a new deal with a company called New Strike.
Yes.
That'll even increase that further.
Yes,
Can you talk
exactly.
about that partnership?
So we recently closed on the acquisition of a company called New Strike Brands Limited. They're known for Up Cannabis, which is their consumer brand. And with that, we added an additional 500 square feet, or almost 500,000 square feet of cultivation space.
And while currently here you're greenhouse growers, New Strike does have indoor facilities as well.
Correct. The advantage of partnering with a company like New Strike is that it does allow us to play with that indoor grow cannabis, which is exciting. Could be premium type cannabis for a segment of our consumer base. So
You like more of the indoor, like craft marijuana type thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of acquisitions and partnerships, I was really interested to see that you partnered up with Molson Coors, because we all know the beverage market is going to be the next big thing. Can you tell me a little bit about that partnership? And I believe it's going to be under a different name, so it won't be Hexo or Molson Coors, it'll be Truss.
Correct. So Truss is the joint venture that Hexo Corp and Molson Coors Canada stood up just last summer. And so between Molson Coors' expertise with beverage alcohol and our expertise with cannabis and cannabis technology, it's really a match made in heaven. And it's just the first of our, what we hope will be a number of hub and spoke partners. The idea with the hub and spoke model that we subscribe to is we have the technology, the IP, the research and development going into creating cannabis technology ultimately, whereas companies like Molson Coors have expertise in their own right, as well as distribution channels globally.
The distribution, is one of the biggest obstacles, I think, for most companies.
Exactly. So by bringing those very complementary sets of experience and expertise together, we really have an opportunity to really corner the market. And we hope to do that with more companies in vapes, in cosmetics, in food, other kinds of edibles, as the regulations come on in Canada.
Yeah, it's exciting. And I know in the United States, the regulations are different, but in Canada, you can't currently sell cannabis beverages. That is something that's going to be hopefully rolling out later this year.
Correct. So it's expected that sometime in the fall, the regulations will be opened up and will allow us to essentially produce and sell cannabis edibles. And so companies like ours are ramping up towards that. It'll also open up to vapes and other kinds of concentrates. So that's very exciting. We know from our experience working with the medical market, for example, we're very close to our medical clients, our medical patients, that people are increasingly looking for other ways to consume cannabis. That doesn't mean smoking it or vaping it. So being able to consume it in an oil format, which we already offer through our Elixir line of products in 1-to-1 CBD or THC formulations. And we also have a product called Decarb, which is a decarboxylated or an activated cannabis powder that is ready to go. You sprinkle it on your yogurt or on your pizza or whatever the case may be. And that also comes in different formulations. But being able to offer more than those lines of products is very, very exciting for us, and I think for our consumer base as well.
Yeah, it seems like trends are going that way. And I personally know people who would never smoke a joint in their life, but if you give them, a lozenge or even like a capsule of some kind, it just opens up new markets that wouldn't ever have existed had you just stuck with flower per se.
And having those products produced in the legal market means that we can know what we're putting in our bodies, right? We know what the concentration of THC or CBD is. We know that it was produced under good manufacturing practices, that it's done in an environment where there are no pesticides, there's no heavy metals, there are no other contaminants. It's a much safer way to look at consuming cannabis when you're considering it in the context of the legal market.
Yeah, I think anything you're putting in your bodies, we expect that of our food and our drugs, pharmaceutical drugs that is, and I don't see why it wouldn't help to have that with cannabis as well. I would also like to talk about, we had just briefly mentioned the U.S., so I know that there was a Hexo U.S. Initiative that is starting to happen. Is there anything you can say about that at this point?
Yeah, so what we've said about obviously the US is a huge market for us, and it's a priority as far as hemp-derived CBD products. We have said that we will be in 8 US states in 2020, so more to come on that, but we have incorporated Hexo USA, and we've also just hired and announced the hiring of a new chief financial officer who is a US-based CFO with experience in global companies and the CPG world. So these are all steps towards really establishing ourselves in the US where we can legally.
Which would be an exciting move. And just talking about expanding even globally, I do know that you have an operation in Greece that's starting up as well.
Correct. So HexoMed is our Greek affiliate. The company there will be focused on delivering medical cannabis to clients all over the European Union.
Oh, okay. So that's an excellent post, I guess, because it's not obviously just operating in Greece. That is more of an export.
The regional impact, exactly.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think you've pretty much answered all of my questions. I guess if there's anything you have to say about how interesting it has been to see the company grow so fast. Has there been any growing pains, or because this seems to have been going rather smoothly? Yeah,
it is very rapid growth. I just look at, for example, around legalization, we took a tally of our, on October 17, 2018, in Canada, that was legalization day. It was a big day for us. We were roughly 250 employees. As of today, in June of 2019, we're over 1,100 employees.
I noticed by the cars in the parking lot, I came in and I was a little taken aback.
It's almost shocking. It's almost shocking. It's very exciting. It's not for the faint of heart. People who work here are extremely dedicated to making this a very successful company. We call it cannabis years, so we don't refer to time and months and weeks and years. We call them cannabis years because things go very, very fast. Not without its growing pains, of course, but I think we're a pretty tight industry too, and we are learning from each other, learning from our mistakes, and moving forward in a very positive way, and engaging our partners and stakeholders and our communities, because we're part of the communities that we operate in the best way we can. And I think there's lots of room to grow, but the experience so far has been a very successful story to tell.
Yeah, it looks like it. Well, I really appreciate your hospitality and having us here to tour the facility. Best of luck with everything, and be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Isabelle.
Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it.